We are live. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Vidette Mayer here. I am here on this beautiful day in Saranda, Albania. Bud and I, if you are just now joining, Bud and I, my husband is Bud. We are in our first week of stepping into a whole new reality, a whole new part of the world that we had never even been to, and really starting to feel more and more like home. And one of the things that I've always had this inner knowing that I was supposed to be in Europe somewhere, that I was supposed um, to live elsewhere. I just didn't know where, and was kind of in life a lot, so I wasn't able to explore that until I gave myself permission to, which we did. And now this is the feeling. This is the feeling that I have been searching for my entire life. I've moved around quite a lot and I've been asked like what I'm running from and why do you move? And I love adventure. I love new places. I like experiencing new places. I love to understand behavior more. I love change. Not that it's always enjoyable to change, but I've lived all over the United States and was still kind of like there's somewhere else that I'm meant to be. And through this whole journey, I mean, these daily tune-ins have kind of been almost like a vlog of what's going on in my life, as well as I kind of put together what's happening in life and what am I feeling, intuitively with the energies going on, and how do I piece that together, and doing it in a practical way to then share with you all, to see like this is what's happening energetically and here's how it's showing up. Like, I'm willing to talk about it. But what I'm willing to talk about is now stepping into what I'm going to call that 5D reality. We're all kind of in that space of ascending into higher realities. And we've been through a lot, like we've been through a cycle of discomfort. We went through some energies that supported an initiation phase, which I talked about here on the daily tune in. And now we're ascending into the level. We're in kind of like the last, I don't want to say last, we're in the tsunami that takes us into the higher realm of being, so into a higher perspective, a higher consciousness. And then after these 3 weeks that we've been talking about, then we're going to be here, we're going to be sitting on this I'm going to call it a plateau. Okay, but there's going to be a plateau that we can, like, just imagine you can see over, like in South Africa, you've seen pictures of Table Rock. I think it's called Table Mountain. And I've been there. I think it's just Table Mountain. So imagine like lifting up over the city of Cape Town, and now you're on this beautiful plateau, and you can see a lot more. You can have this huge advantage point. That's what this tsunami of energy in these next 3 weeks is going to take us into. It's going to kind of push us up and into a higher reality. So as Bud and I are here, we are attempting to get anchored and get to know this place that we know that we're going to be anchored in here for a little while, to hold the line of consciousness, hold the light, so to speak. We were brought here by our higher guides, by our teams, what I call my council. And that's what I want to talk a little bit more about today. Because yesterday I was telling you all about my experience with evolving the intuition part of me, and part of you, really. It's probably going to be a similar experience, but I can't give it linear time for you. But what I do know is the development of our communication with our higher consciousness is going to take an evolutionary leap in these next 3 weeks. And the message that I kept getting, that I got updated overnight, the message that I'm getting is, it is up for us, those of us who are resonating with this message, those of us who are showing up every day for these daily tune-ins, to tune into what is it I need to know in consciousness to be able to navigate this world. What the message is we are in training, so to speak, to be able to welcome in these higher levels of consciousness that we can communicate with, that we can be guided by without fear, and with the knowledge of what they are bringing us, because the individual knowledge that they are bringing me and bringing you and bringing someone else here and bringing Jeannie and bringing Jessica and bringing Brenna, it's going to be, kind of, we're going to get what it is, but we're each going to get some unique perspective of this higher consciousness and making these connections and having this higher communication, because we are ready for it. We are being trained to receive it. We, meaning you, are going to understand more what you're going to bring forth with this higher communication. And this is going to be where we kind of expand into how we bring more light and how we hold the line as the 3D world, and those who resonate with the lower frequencies or the more fear-based frequencies of that 3D world, as they navigate some great change, we are going to be the ones that are getting the higher intel, so to speak. So I'm going to be sharing the intel that I get from my perspective, so that you can then bring your perspective and match it up and find and kind of expand on your wisdom, your light, the knowledge that you get. So I had a couple of messages, actually. One, hold on. Oh shoot, I just messed up my thing. Oh, I archived something that I didn't want to archive. Give me one sec, guys. Okay, I archived the notes I was going to use. So apparently I'm not supposed to use those. So I'll just shut my phone off after that. But I did get a couple of messages yesterday pertaining to how to make contact with my guides. A couple of you on Instagram. I got two actually on Instagram, and then one, someone emailed to me and said, like, I'm wanting to know more about that. Let's go further into that. And also, how do I know how many guides are there, and how do I connect, and all of that. And that is pretty much what I'm getting for my own, from my own spot in this, my own, what's the word I want, responsibility in these next 3 weeks, is to share as much as I can about the communication, about building trust and building an understanding in the connection that we have, and kind of evolving what your experience might be with your own team, with your own galactic team. So that's what we're going to be working on here in the next few weeks. I'm not sure how it's going to show up, but I am going to do a workshop of stuff, like a 90-minute workshop. I'm going to work it out over the weekend, and I'll let you all know on Monday. It will be donation based. It will be free to Ascension Bank members. And I'm going to have a gathering where we come together off of, YouTube Live and onto a Zoom, so that you all can share as well. And we can start to do some practices together to start to see how your guides communicate with you. And we're going to do this practice on the Zoom, and then each person who is participating live will then get to share what messages came through for them, and we'll start to kind of piece our messages together to make a bigger puzzle of what is coming together, and what our collective here is missioned to bring forth in this time of great change. Does this make sense? Like, what I'm getting here is, my job here is to simply say, here's what we're having to do. And if you guys would love to come together with me, I believe that it is our responsibility to bring our consciousnesses together, so that we can expand and bring further information to others as some of the world events and global events start to take place through February. If you haven't read about the Pluto return for the United States, February is a massively, massively big shifting month for the United States. Just go to DuckDuckGo and do an internet search for Pluto returns, the U.S., and you will see that February is prime time for a lot of changes to start happening, and we are going to have to be helped and guided and moved forward by our galactic teams, our angelic teams. This is when they are really going to become prevalent and more visible in our reality, because this is the time that they are here to help. But we have got to connect in, and we have got to be able to communicate really well, because we may or may not be able to physically see them. But this is how those of us who are here to hold the light, hold the love and the peace for our world as it goes through a big shift, especially for those of us from the US. As we hold that line, we are going to be the peace holders. This is a peacekeeping mission, and we have got to have our communication really well tuned in, because the other half of the other part of the world is going to be tuned into those who are holding the line of fear and truly trying to keep that line as heavily restricted as it can, so that those people who are there, who are resonating in that fear-based reality, do not see the truth and awaken and tip the scales of the global narrative. So to support that, I want to show you. I'm going to put a link in to it was a CNN link that someone sent to me on Instagram, and it's fascinating, you all. It's so fascinating. I want you guys to read it. I want you to get your own intuition into it. I want you to connect with your guides as you read this, and look at it from a higher perspective. What we know about CNN is it's part of the big tech conglomerates that are suppressing information for the rise of consciousness. We know CNN, the metaphor, the funny part of it, the metaphor, or the what's it called, the anagram, or I forget what they're called, but CNN stands for constant news, or continuous. Oh my gosh, what is I just had a total brain fart. Constantly negative news. Yeah, there it is. Constantly negative news. But I mean, we know this by now. We know that these mainstream media, platforms are there to fuel the fear of the global narrative, whatever the global shadow elite decide is how we're going to keep the people suppressed, how we're going to keep them in fear, how we're going to keep them restricted. And then there are those of us who are, quite frankly, working for the light. And it messes with your mind, because you think it should have an organized government or an organized something like this 3D world has. But the 4 and 5D world is not physical. So we have these teams, we have this higher consciousness that is all working to raise all of this 3D world and in fear up and up and up, so that it finally dismantles, which we know is happening. These next few weeks of February is when a lot of this world is going to dismantle, and it's going to look really, really scary. And those of us who can be easily pulled down, but we are going to be here to hold the light, and we have to know more. We have to be tuned into a completely different frequency, so that we can tune into what our next steps are, and how we continue this mission of holding the line of peace when everything seems to be falling away. This is when we are going to be called in to help people keep peace who might be still attached to all the things, and it's going to have all this information coming at them, and each piece of information is going to have some truth to it, but it's going to be overwhelming, and that can blow people's minds when they start to see what has really been lying underneath the facade of government and pharmaceuticals and the banking systems. And when all of this starts to fall and crumble, and everything they've ever known starts to just make sense that it's falling apart, this is when we help to hold the line of peace. That's why our job is to stay in that frequency of peace and love as much as we can through these next 3 weeks, to seed that consciousness into the global consciousness. I'm hoping that this is making sense, because this is like really, I was up again at 3:00 in the morning receiving this in. Like that's when my team Leo, and I think I forgot to mention Leo stands, when they introduce themselves as Leo, they're like, our name is Leo. And It's the light evolution operative. And I was like, that's the coolest thing. So when Leo starts to talk to me, it's usually in those early mornings when the veil is completely like very thin and you don't have all the static of the normal day and your mind's kind of at ease and you're more of an open receptive container to receive your messages. Last night I kept getting like, Vedette, this is, you have got to, like, I'm not saying lead it, but you have got to lead I am saying that, but in a different sense. You have to lead this mission and help people hold the line of peace. Let them see what's happening. Help them to see what's happening. Support them in trusting what they see. So this is what we're doing. I'm, like I said, I'm going to be putting together a 90-minute gathering for us to come together so that we can take it off the air, so to speak, and into a more private place so that you all can talk about your experiences and start to gain more and more confidence in your intuition and how to connect in and how do you know when you're connected and how do you find out how many guides you have. I don't know if you will ever really know, to be quite frank, but I'll share what I know about these teams and about how they help us, because it's going to be pivotal that because if you are here, you are part of this team to help others not be afraid when we are starting to, when we can't deny that there are higher dimensional beings that are already helping us, that have been helping us. But I think that's going to become more and more obvious, and that could freak a lot of people out. What I mean by that is we are seeing, if you're tuned into the conversation, and you can get tuned in, but what we are seeing is more and more and more beings being seen and videoed through their phones. We're having a lot more physical contact. We're having more and more beings coming into physical form to start to help and develop different areas in order to come up, to raise the consciousness of different areas. So you might start seeing, like, I've seen a few, like, do you ever see like a human, you're just kind of walking down the street and you see a human that's just like different looking. And what I mean by that, like, there's all kinds of different ways that can happen, but you ever see someone like, that is like the most interesting human being I've ever seen as they walk by? um, we're going to be seeing more of that, because those, our these higher consciousnesses are not going to come in the form of like lizards and stuff. They're going to come in, they can come in and choose their suit, so to speak, so that they can come into physical form and not freak us out. But they're going to be different, and they're going to become more obvious to those of us who are tuned into it. They are not going to make themselves obvious to those who are tuned into fear, because they're not here to create fear. They're not here to create havoc. They are here to help and support and to pull us up and to show us how to, protect ourselves from, not protect ourselves, but show us how to continue to raise the consciousness of planet Earth so we can rise up as a collective and take as many people as we can. But in order to do that, it's going to take these different collectives that bring their knowledge to people as these changes start to take place in physical form, so as to not to freak out and create major chaos. We need enough people of the light who know what's happening and how to communicate, so that they can give the messages in their own private lives, uniquely to other people who might be in fear. So it will be our job to say, hey, it's okay that, this communication is not scary. It's not here to hurt you. It is here to help. They are here to help. So I don't know what this is all going to look like, y'all, but I just know that um, you know when I get messages so far, they've all pretty much have come true. Everything that I have intuitively thought for, throughout these last 2-3 years has turned out to have enough truth about it, have enough evidence where I feel confident with messages that I get. And I'm getting messages that we're having to really start stepping up our communication with our higher teams, our higher councils. Okay. Um, okay, so I want to just give you like some practical ways, like how does this work as far as making contact? Okay, I'm just going to answer, and this is going to answer is like super like high level, or low, like not low level, but elementary, level kind of information. But we're going to take this further when I do have the gathering. Again, it'll be donation based, so I'm not sure what that date is yet, but it'll be in the next probably week, so that we can come together and really start developing the communication. But it's not going to be like step one, step two, step things. Like, you're going to get into it. We're just going to get into it, and you're going to start trusting yourself, and we're going to work on building the muscle of communication. But at first, like, automatic journaling is a really great question. Asking your guides, asking your teams to come forth with information that you don't know yet. And would start there. I would also, have these conversations like you would, like the first time you meet someone, and I'm in that world right now. We just had, lunch with a couple that we just met. So sitting there, it's like, it sounds like small talk, but when you really want to get to know someone, what is the questions that you would ask? Tell me more about yourself. What's the most interesting thing about yourself? Ask that of your teams, like, or your guide, like your main consciousness. My main conscious Leo, I don't go in like, I talk about them being like, what's up, you guys? How you doing today? Hey, tell me something I don't already know about you. And allow them to come, and answer through automatic writing, which is just opening a blank page, and whatever comes, you just write it out. Or go into nature and ask the same question. Hey, why I walk this, why I do this 1 mile hike, share something with me. Show me something that I would not have seen on my own, and start to develop that relationship. Tell me something about yourself. Um, and also, what else have I written down here? You'll also, or like, again, you've heard this before, start asking for signs. That's like the very basic level of starting out, which is, this is not like, that's a basic level. That's just where you get started. But then, you're not going to stay there very long. You want to just keep moving up the line of improving your communication, improving and getting braver, and trusting more when you do get an answer, when you do get a direction, and just being like, wow, I just got an answer, and not looking for the signy or sign. I saw a funny meme where someone said, like, oh, when I asked my team for a sign and I get it, and I'm like, okay, I got it, but can I get a signier sign? Like, now's the time when you have to start trusting that the messages you're getting are legit, and they are literally gearing you back to this higher reality of love and joy. Okay. So this is going to, I don't know if this is all making sense. I feel like I'm all over the place with this message, but it's kind of how it's so new for me, that I'm also still trying to process it. But at the end of the day, our work here in these next 3 weeks is to really kind of hone down into making higher and higher communication. I do also, one last time, want to share. I started to do this. Crapola. I don't know how to find this link. Give me a sec, y'all. I have this link. It's on my phone, but I can't get it over to my computer for some reason. But it is the CNN story, and it's interesting because they're talking about. I'll show it to you here, and maybe you can just Google it. It's CNN. U.S. intelligence community report says pulsed electromagnetic energy could cause Havana syndrome. And if you go through here, it's fascinating to read because I can see what they're doing. And they are starting to seed fear into the collective, but they're keeping it really vague, really vague. And they're talking about these electromagnetic energies, right? Which can be used in nefarious ways. And yet electromagnetic energy can also be used in ascension waves. And our teams and the galactics have been helping us with the electromagnetic energy to help us a little bit more rise in consciousness. That's what these massive shots or pulses of energy have been in this last 6 months to a year. We have been getting a lot from the solar sun, and however, if you've been following daily tune-ins from the beginning, I was bringing in the space weather tools, and on the backside, we were getting hits from the backside of the planet, which the EMS usually come from the sun and in the form of solar flares and coronal mass ejections. But there's been a lot of strange energy coming in from the backside. That is and has been our galactic friends pulsating us on both sides. Now we've got the solar effects as well as help. So we are being helped, and it is creating ascension symptoms. But now they're starting to vaguely put together a narrative that there is something called Havana syndrome, which is this syndrome that isn't really explained, has these symptoms that come and go. They can't really, they're not naming them, but all you need to do is go to the doctor, and it seems that people have been okay at that point. But what is going to happen when you go to the doctor? They are going to give a prescription that covers up these symptoms, and now there's a narrative saying, oh, there's this thing, it's a new disease that's called Havana syndrome. All you have to do is just, go and take this medication, and it's done. But we know differently. There the possibility that the opposite is happening, and that these higher frequencies are helping us. So we have 5G yucky frequencies that are nefarious, that are hurting people. And yet there's this, there's this, the opposite is also happening. So this is where discernment is coming in. It's going to be stories like this. When you read them, you're like, well, logically, people could be getting sick. They have similar ascension, or they have similar symptoms to ascension when there is an illness because of 5G, the electromagnetic waves that pulsate, right, in a nefarious way to hurt our bodies. And there's also this ascension process that's happening too. So there's truth in both sides. And this is where a lot of people, when they start understanding all of this information coming in, and they're like, well, I see evidence of this and I see evidence of that. My mind is blown. I don't know what to think. And now I'm in chaos. And now I'm in fear. I don't know what to believe. That's when those of us who also know the opposite expression that's happening can come in and say, sweet soul, it's okay. This is also happening. And if these symptoms aren't lasting and they come and go, allow your body to let things come and go. And we start to bring peace and tell them and give them more information so they can continue discerning. And I guarantee you, people are going to start to feel more peace when they know that there's also this beautiful thing that's happening in their favor that does have physical symptoms, but is actually being helped by these higher beings that they will come to know, and they will come to also trust. There's a lot happening right now, but the CNN thing was so fascinating. I mean, it was so obvious to me what they were trying to do. They leave it vague enough for you to be like, whoa, that's a lot. Like, there's a lot in there that I could believe. It leaves a lot of people's minds to fill in the blanks. And we have been conditioned in fear. So a lot of times when people fill in the blanks, they fill it in with the fear-based narratives that have been continually conditioned by big tech, by, mainstream media, by, blah, 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 right? We are the other side of that. We are this narrative. We are holding the line to keep the narrative of peace going, that all of this is happening in our highest and best good. And it is up to us to grab the information that each of us get, to share, to put a bigger narrative together of how we are being helped here and what is happening, so that we can then do stuff like this, or just talk to people along the way during our day and bring peace wherever we go. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Let's see what you guys are saying. All right, we got Panama City Beach, Berks County. I used to do gymnastics called Berks in Reading, Pennsylvania. Good morning from Alabama. We are full-time RVers, so I get a lot. Oh, I love the RVers. I skipped over that part. That was one of the dreams. So I still have to come back to some kind of RV life. I that was always a really big desire of mine. Sunny London in the house. I like that it's sunny. Great Awakening from New York. Vidette is here. The snow stopped and the sun is shining. The tip of oh, that's hilarious, Isabel. Digging into the work I have to do internally right now. I want to go with, yes. Brenna, just keep going. I think I would love for you guys to be able to get on to this. I don't know really what it's going to be, to be honest, but I just have a feeling that when I get clarity on what it is we're supposed to do when we come together to make contact, that that it's going to be what you might be looking for, Brenna, to go into the internally. Christine says, woke up 3:30, tried to focus on messages and goodness. There was so many talking, I just laughed, couldn't make sense of much of it. I just stayed in the chatter. Yeah, Christine, that's funny because I think I'm getting what you're saying, but what's coming up for me is, these 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 a.m. rendezvous that we have. If you're finding that you are waking up at that time, that is a pivotal time of your guides making contact with you. So instead of, maybe instead of being like, oh darn it, I'm up, what happens is from when you go to sleep until those hours, that's when there's a lot of energetic work done on you when you are in your deepest sleep. And when the energy work is done from your teams, then at that point they say, okay, you're done. It's kind of like after you're done surgery and you start coming out of, you kind of like are a little bit fuzzy, but you're understanding that you're back into your reality. That's what that 3:30, 4 o'clock, kind of wake up call is, so to speak. That's when they're calling. Now it's time for us to chatter about what we've done and what we're doing. That's a great time then to wake up and actually tune into what the message is, or ask the question of like, what is it that I is in my highest and best good to know right now. Oh, have on our own mystery school. I'm in. Yes, Tiffany, me too. Pluto returned last in 1776, if I remember correctly. Another fight for freedom. Exactly, Jeannie. Y'all just look up. I don't have to give you all this information. It's already out there and you can discern for yourself. But just do a DuckDuckGo search or an internet search for Pluto return and just read it. It's fascinating because we're starting to see, not even starting, we are seeing things that are unfolding now around that same topic. Tara says, I felt for a while now, part of my job is to help those around me when the bottom falls out on this global narrative. Exactly, Tara. Those are the words right there. I've taken 32 minutes to get to. Yes. When everything starts falling apart, we are going to know that the dismantling is happening. It's going to be a good thing. We're going to be celebrating because we're going to be above it. It's still going to be like, for us, it's going to still blow our minds. We're going to be like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Or finally, I did see that coming. But it's going to be like information here, here, and here, and here. And it's going to be like, I think even for us, it's going to kind of blow our minds, but it's all going to then be validated. Our feelings and our notions that we have had and nudges that we've had are going to be validated. So it's going to be easier for us to be like, okay, I saw that coming. That's really crazy that's been going on, or now we've got to live through this. But then, yes, Tara, just as you said, when the bottom falls out, there's going to be a lot of people who are at the bottom, who are at rock bottom and think the world is ending and everything they've known, is done. That's when we step in and say, okay, take my hand. I'm going to show you that, that there is a higher place of reality. Come with me and I'll help you. Okay. Jeannie, hold strong in the violet light surrounding you. Yeah. Yes. If you could, thank you, Christine, for saying that too. If you can go to, maybe I'll have to make one, but for now, until I get that out, there is on YouTube, you can just Google, it's such like a word that we keep using, and I'm trying not to use Google anymore. But if you can go to YouTube, and I know that they're Google too, so we're deeply embedded in the dysfunction of this 3D world, and I recognize the ironic part of it. However, there are some really good uses, and on YouTube there are meditations around violet flame, cleansing and purity. I would be doing some of those, because when we cleanse and purify and energetically, the violet flame meditations will help you cleanse and clear, really, really good. I use it all the time actually in my own meditations. So bring that violet flame of cleansing in, and so that you can cleanse out anything that will cause static from having that higher communication. Can you PDF that now graphic so I can print it out? I want to put it on my fridge. I don't know what graphic you're talking about, Tara. It's not coming to my mind. So if you could tell me more. Is it too late for me to get your bed meditation via donation? No, not at all, Sharon. If I put on my website, there's a tab in the menu that says workshops and meditations. If you go to that page, you can get any one of my hypno meditations or workshops that I've offered, and it's all donation based. So you can get whatever you want. It's not whenever I offer it, it's available. It's always available. Everything's always available. So yeah, Sharon, you can go ahead and get that. This makes total sense to me. Yeah, Brenna. Oh, me too. Okay, there's so many. Very excited about making contact. Yeah. Um, I'm trying to like tiptoe around it because I'm nervous about sharing, but because you said that, Jeannie, I'm very excited about making contact. Y'all, I think we're on the leading edge, like the pioneers that we have talked about on here. Those of us who are pioneering that new reality, at that reality, we will be seeing at those higher frequencies. That's when we start to see these higher dimensional beings. They can't come all the way down to 3D because it's so dense. But as we come up and they come down, then we can meet for contact. And I know this sounds incredibly crazy. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud to all of you. I can barely say it to myself, but I do. But I'm trying to be brave here because we are in a point where we have to be brave, and we've got to speak our weird. But I do believe that we are going to start to be seeing a lot more and making more physical contact. But until then, we have to. What they're saying is like we're not going to let you see until you can fully believe without fear, and you can communicate without fear, and you understand how all of this works, and you have that relationship and that you trust, so that when you do see, you don't freak the hell out and give yourself a heart attack, quite frankly. Like they don't want to do that. They want to be so filled with love where all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's you. I recognize you. And I swear to you, that same thing, and how I know that this is the evidence, and this is the process in which it's going to be, is because they have shown me how it was when with Bud. Like I had spent years journaling and automatic writing about the relationship that I wanted when I was like still in my first marriage. It was a shit show. I would go to the beach and just be like, I want someone like this partner that is made for me. He feels me, he knows me, and he takes care of me. And this is what this is how I feel with him, and this is what we do. And this was years. And when I first met Bud, we were both going to the same spiritual center. And at one point during the on Sundays, there's greet your neighbor. And the first time I gave him a hug, it was 9 or 10 months before I actually ever talked to him. And in that moment, I knew it. I knew his energy. I knew the energy of this being, because I had been in the energy of writing about him and what he would look like, and not even what he looked like. Sorry, I didn't care about that. What he would, how he would act and how he would be. He became so familiar in consciousness that when I hugged him to be like, hey, you're my neighbor here today, you're sitting in the same area, I felt the zing, as they talk about in Hotel Transylvania for anyone with kids. The zing was there, but I was like afraid, and I was still going through divorce, and I didn't want any part of, having another relationship. And it wasn't literally until 9 or 10 months later that we had our first conversation. And from that moment on, I was like, that he's it. He is it. So it's like that. When you have that kind of relationship and trust in consciousness, like now, if Leo were to appear to me in like form of a human or whatever, I would know. I would know the relationship. I would know it. So that's how this is going to be happening. And in these next 3 weeks, you are going to take, because your consciousness now is tuned into what these 3 weeks are. The intention is to rise up as much as you can by staying in those, now moment to now moment of love and peace, so that you can rise up and open up your container of receptivity and be cleansed in that vibration of peace and love. And as you rise up and you are cleansed and cleared, you will then be at more of an open antenna to receive higher communication, higher intelligence. So, the intel that military people come, like, they're on a need to know basis. When there's a mission, right? They're called in to sit down and get the intelligence of what's going on in the area they're going to be in. And they, on a need to know basis, they're given their mission. So our mission for the next 3 weeks is to open ourselves up to be able to receive this higher intelligence, lock in our relationships, and lock in the trust and the belief that we have that we are communicating at a higher level for this beautiful movement of light and wisdom and peace, so that we can then invoke these, the manifestation of these consciousnesses that are going to be here to help us maneuver the chaos that is probably going to ensue in the physical world. Okay. Shungite is a great protective stone from bad energies. Okay. Yeah, you guys, there's a lot of comments. I love it, but I want you to keep, like, you go through them too. So if I miss anything, but someone's comment might help you. Is this contact with guides or with ETs like Stephen Greer? Whatever you want to call them. We can call them angelics, we can call them gods, we can call them ETs, we can call them our teams, we can call them galactics. They're all different, species. It's kind of like, look at all the different humans in the world. We're all here, we're all having this human experience, but there's tall, short, big, little, black, white, red. There's all kinds of different species. So yeah, Sharon, like, the more open, if they know that you are more in tuned and resonant with, like, the, an angelic kind of being, that's what you will see. If they know that if they plop down in like reptilian kind of, form, it would freak you the hell out. Those particular ones are not going to, you're not going to see them as, until you build confidence with the experiences that you're having. This is how I understand it. This has, like, I haven't seen anything yet, y'all. I just have the communication down pretty well. So because of that, I keep getting the message of, like, we're getting you ready. We're getting you ready. And, and in my mind, there's still part of my ego that's like, I'm gonna shit my pants when I see something, like, and I know it. Like, that might be super, but, like, more so because I'm so excited and I'm not afraid, but there still might be a moment of, like, fear that runs through, like, oh my God, this is everything we've been taught and conditioned to fear in movies. The aliens come and they take us, they take us away. But this is not going to be that. Okay, because as you rise up into those higher levels of love and peace, you are protected, because those beings of darkness that are down in those lower realms, they can't touch you, right? So that's why we have to stay up, so that we can stay protected from these lower nefarious beings, because we do need the dark souls in the world to have the contrast, right? To have the high, low, black, white, dark, all the things. So this is going to be playing out, but as long as we stay here and just kind of, watch it, they can't come up to us, right? Remember, we can go down to them, but that's why we have to build our trust, so that we don't start to slip down and get magnetized down by the fear of, oh my God, we're being like invaded. It's not going to be anything like that. I'm curious with what it's going to be like, because it's going to be completely different than we've ever been shown, to the point where we're going to be like, oh my God, that was contact. That was contact. So I look forward to being able to have this conversation evolve over the next 3 weeks. I don't know what that means, but the training period is 3 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what that's all about, because I don't know. I'm on a need to know basis. I don't have any clue what we're going to talk about on Monday, because we're talking about this today. She's in tune with Shum. Okay. Marie says, I almost hesitated sharing this, but my 16-year-old daughter woke up around 4 in the morning to a tiny black alien like being watching her sleep. It didn't scare her. Any thoughts? Because she's pure. If it didn't scare her and she saw it, she's an antenna, Marie. Like, I think that's gonna be it, like, they appeared when they knew she wouldn't be afraid, right? And it came in a form that didn't scare her. And, and our kids are going to probably have contact in some way before if they haven't already and they just don't, like, talk about it, but they are wide open. And kids after 1987, this is a whole other conversation, how I came across this, but kids after 1987 did not incarnate on a soul level with with karmic attachments from previous lifetimes. They came in after 1987 full on cleared. Whatever has to be cleared, or anything that they have that has given them lower filters, is all from this lifetime. So clearing that crap is going to be easy, because it's not like generations of trauma and densities that we all had to, like, work through and clear, and are continuing to do that. So our kids are much, much more in tuned. They probably have, some of them have been training from day one. So this is like, that's no surprise, Marie, that your daughter had that experience. I think it might be our kids that are training us on how to make contact. Quite frankly, that's just what came up for me. She's very in tune with much of what you're sharing here in the space. I told her she needs to check you out. Yes, and I'd be open to a I don't know. I'd love to just ask her about things. Like, I'd be open to conversation. Not that I think I can help her, but I think she might be able to share something that taps into, my own knowledge or your own knowledge, Jamie. And, like, all of a sudden we piece things together about what this is all going to be like, or what it is going on. I like Steve Noble's Violet Flame meditation. Thanks, Jeannie. Yes, everybody take a look at that. Steve Noble, Violet Flame meditation. Oh, the graphic. Okay, is this the one? I think so. Tara says the graphic you keep showing us to stay higher vibration in each now moment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So love, peace is even above love. So if at the very least we can operate from every now moment in love, we are going to create that expansive energy bubble all around us, which is protection, which is a solid fuel, so to speak, a solid electromagnetic bubble around us. And at this point, when we are this solid electromagnetic bubbles, not the word I want, but I'm going to use it, then we are protected from the electromagnetic fields that are coming from this world, and they can't penetrate, because if they're being used for nefarious reasons, it can't touch us. So crap like 5G and all that poop, as long as we just keep all, like, ourselves fully healthy, and each now moment, there's a lot more going on than just feeling in love and feeling in peace. Like, we bring protection from all of the other things that these lower nefarious beings are trying to now just throw out as much as they can, to keep us sick, to keep us diseased, to keep us fearful, and to keep us weighed down in this world of the global narrative. Okay, good. Living with joy. Okay, this is going on, and I love it. I'm going to read everything, but I just want to honor your all's time too. I have a portal here on my place from the planet Sirius, and they have come and gone for 27 years now. We are all in some amazing meetings if we are open. Yes, Christine. Thank you for saying that. And I would love to join that. That's just super cool. Yeah, and I think, like, in my mind, like, there's a reason why I'm here, like why I ended up in this country of Albania at this time. So there's something there, I don't know if it's some kind of portal or some kind of, like, what it is, but I'm tuned into that. I keep asking, like, to show me why I'm here. Like, yes, it's beautiful, and yes, I love it, but there's a reason. So, like, lead me to where I need to be led in order to do this. Like, I'm here for my mission. I've been stationed here, so to speak. I'm quite happy with that station. So what do I do now? Leo, show me where I need to be, where I need to go. Okay. I'm gonna stop there, and I want to thank you all. This has been a pretty intensive week as far as the messages that have come through, and I feel like they're going to become more intensive, but more from an exciting standpoint. Where now we're being called in. Now is our time to be called up into into action, into activity of some sort. I don't know what that means, but if it's just me showing up here with you guys, I'm totally like, I think I can do that. I love that. So it's going to be more of those kind of things. Like we are honored to step up now, and we're honored to take on this mission, and every day is going to be something new on a need to know basis. So I think these next 3 weeks with this influx of plasma light is going to be a massively expansive time. So I look forward to going through this with you guys, with all of you. I really do appreciate it. So again, I'm going to be practicing, or not practicing, I'm putting together over the weekend, finding a date in the next week that we can come together and start practicing our communication together, and just holding space for each other to grow in the belief and in the trust and in the direction that we're being called, and bring all of our teams together and amplify our efforts to get clarity on these next 3 weeks. I did in the at the top, I pinned a post, which is the I have a hypno meditation that's on my website, and it's called Making Contact with Your Galactic Team. It was a really powerful one as well when I recorded it. So I have the link on there, so you can make a donation, and I will send you that. If you are in the Ascension Bank, for $22 a month as your donation, you have access to all of the things. You will have access to coming into the gathering that I'm talking about. You can access weekly gatherings that we have, that we actually have conversations in. So it's a $22 a month donation. It's really not, it's not much for what you get. But if you're not ready for that and you just want a hypno meditation, make a donation, and I'll send you the link so that you can be following and growing in using these hypno meditations to make contact with your team. Okay. The sun is going down. It's almost there. Let me just give you a little peek real quick. There's the sun. It's almost going down. And we are going to go to an expat party and meet some new people. So thank you for giving me this beautiful moment this afternoon, you all, in my world. And I look forward to reconvening with you on Monday. In the meantime, be making contact, asking questions, trusting the thoughts and the feelings that you get, trusting the symbols that you see, knowing that now more than ever it's going to be more and more obvious of contact is going to be more and more obvious for you. So be looking for it. I will too, and hopefully we'll be able to share some experiences on Monday. Okay, love to you all. Mwah. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.